Ooh, off center. Alright, if you... Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Peace in the Promise. So I wanted to film this video, I think I've titled it, Do You Want to Get Well? I was just reflecting the other day, actually yesterday, and I was just thinking how more often than not, we are our own hindrance to freedom. Now, if you've read my blog, Peace in the Promise, peaceinthepromise.wordpress.com, I'll put the link down below, then you would have read my the post on hope for healing. So in that one I was discussing what happens when, let's say, you desire healing or you want healing, and let's say you've gotten prayed for or you've done all the right things but you've not gotten healed. So it's like, what do I do from there? So in there I kind of discuss how how to learn to live, let's say, even with a thorn. But anyway, this is kind of not in relation to that, and it's not asking do you want to get well in the way of, oh, maybe you're not healed because you just don't want it bad enough. There's some aspects of that, but I guess it's going a little bit deeper, and I want to read about the invalid man that sat by the pool for I think 38 years waiting for healing, but because no one took him inside the pool, he was like, well, that's why I can't get healed, because no one's taking me and people keep jumping in front of me and stuff. So anyway, I just want to read that. It's John chapter 5 from verse 1. I'll read from verse 1 to 9. So it says, verse 1, sometime later Jesus went up to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish festivals. Now there is in Jerusalem near the sheep gate a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Here a great number of disabled people used to lie, the blind, the lame, the paralyzed, and one who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. Let me put that up, silent. Had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, do you want to get well? Sir, the invalid replied, I have no one to help me into the pool when the water is stirred. While I'm trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me. Then Jesus said to him, get up, pick up your mat and walk. At once the man was cured. He picked up his mat and walked. And it says the day on which this took place was a Sabbath. So that just came to my mind because I was just reflecting about how we can often be our own stumbling blocks. You know what I mean? Like, we will often make excuses as to why we can't do things. So I'm not necessarily just talking about in terms of healing. I'm just talking about, let's say, pursuing our dreams and just going for things in life or going after things in life. We make excuses and we blame our circumstances, or we blame what happened when we grew up, or we blame, oh, I'm like this, or I have this and I am like this, so that's why I can't do X, Y, Z. So when you think about the man, Jesus asked him, he's like, do you want to get well? And the first thing the man says, rather than yes, rather than, oh no, I'm cool, or, you know, I don't know. He says, Jesus is like, do you want to get well? And he's like, oh, like I've been here and every time I try, then someone else runs in front of me, or no one helps me, or what. And I just think, how many of us do this? We make excuses about our circumstances because, let's say I was bullied, that's why I can't do that. Or I'm like this, so I can't do that. Or I struggle in this area, I can't read so well, I can't do this. Even Moses did it. He's like, I have a stutter, I can't. Like, or I am not eloquent in speech, I can't go to the king of Egypt. So we often are our own stumbling blocks, and we hinder ourselves from receiving our own freedom, receiving our own blessing or breakthrough. You know what I mean? Yeah, sometimes we allow our challenges to paralyze us in the position that we're in. So this guy, I get, like he says, someone keeps on running ahead of me each time I go to the pool. When you think about it, it's like you could have, let's say, I don't know what his ailment was. It says he was an invalid, so maybe, I don't know if he had a missing leg or one of his legs didn't work, something didn't work. Could have hobbled his way right to sit right next to the pool, and the second it started being stirred, he could have just rolled himself in there. But he was like, no, every time I try, someone rushes ahead of me and this and that or whatever. And it's like, at some point, I believe that's why Jesus asked him, because Jesus asks, even though he knew why the man was there, he knew his condition because he's God. And he asked him, do you want to get well? Because it's kind of like, you've been in this condition for this long. Surely, like, you know, we have to understand that we are also involved in that. We also have to take a step, you know what I mean? We also have to take a leap of faith. We can decide to sit and blame our circumstances, blame our upbringing, blame our parents, blame everyone around us about why we can't do what we can do, or I'm sick, or I'm this, or I'm struggling with this. Yes, granted, there are conditions and it's understandable to be discouraged at times, and you know, let's say, you know, if you've got you're really sick, then yes, sometimes these things, it's like, okay, for this time I can't do this. But so often we allow that to dictate our life, you know. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, are you going to wait 38 years for somebody to come and take you out of your situation, or are you going to take charge of your own life? Are you going to take responsibility for your life and acknowledge, okay, yes, I might be an invalid, or yes, I might have been bullied, yes, this might have happened to me, yes, that might have happened to me, but that, I'm not going to allow that to dictate my future. That might have dictated my past, but that's not going to dictate my future in a negative way. I'm going to use that to build me up. I'm not going to use it as an excuse as to why I can't do anything, but it's going to be but I will use that to further propel me, to be my motivation for the future. I'll share a bit about myself. If you read my Hope for Healing blog, you'll know that from the age of 13, I've had the symptoms of dissociation non-stop. So it's pretty much feeling like you're in a constant dream all the time, or if you've been intoxicated, feeling like you're just intoxicated all the time. Obviously, because I've had it since I was 13, and the first time I experienced it, I was about 9. But then from 13 it just stayed. So obviously I've learned somehow, I've just learned to deal with it. The first few years were very hard. I used to cry a lot. I was really upset. I was so anxious. I was so overwhelmed. I'm like, why is this happening to me? Went to the doctors, and we thought it was my eyes, we thought it was my blood, what. But then we realized it was just this dissociation. Whether it came on due to trauma as being a child, because when I was a child I was actually burnt. I got burnt on this arm, if you can see. So it could be due to trauma, but it's just the way that my body has learnt to cope with overwhelming situations. But now it's stuck from the age of 13. So I remember, like, I could have used that, and at times, you know, I would get frustrated and I would feel like it was unfair because I used to play netball, you know, obviously I was going to school, so I was like, I feel like it was so hard to concentrate with the onset of the symptoms. Like I played the defensive position, so GD, GK, and I just felt like I had to concentrate so hard, work so hard just to intercept, just to run, just to catch the ball. And on the outside to others, it appeared as if I was okay, it appeared as if I was normal. And so when I would complain about it, or when I would make comments about it, like people were like, oh, but you look fine, or you're performing fine, and you know, at school you're doing okay. But I'm like, I have to work so hard to concentrate. So, you know, I could have used that as an excuse and said, nah, I give up. I'm not going to play netball. I can't even go to school. I'm not going to do ATAR because I can't concentrate. It's going to be too hard. I can't do this. I can't do that. And granted, yes, everyone is different. You know, if you didn't want to do ATAR because it's not a stream that you wanted to go to, fair enough. But for me, that was something that I wanted to do. So I could have just given up on everything that I wanted to do because, I can't concentrate. I thought, maybe I won't be able to drive because I can't focus properly. Maybe I won't be able to get married. Maybe I won't be able to have a child and care for them well. I could have excluded myself from all of these things just because of the condition that I was in. But at some point I just said, no, enough is enough. I'm not going to use this as a burden. Yes, I'm acknowledging that I'm going through this. I'm acknowledging that this is an undesirable situation that I'm in, but I'm going to use this. I'm going to flip this thing on its head. I'm going to say, how am I going to make a positive out of this, you know, because I could sit and I could cry for the rest of my life and wish it to go away and say, I wish this dissociation, I wish these symptoms would go away, I wish. Yeah, okay, I can have that desire. Like, yeah, I have faith that God will heal me, whether that's today, whether that's 20 years from now, whether I'm not healed. I know He's still good. That's, you know, and I know that He'll use it for His glory. But I had to reach a point where I was like, this is not going to dictate my life. I'm not going to allow it to rob me of enjoying my life. So I just worked hard. I concentrated. Even if I had to work hard to concentrate, I would concentrate even more. If I had to read a page 5 times, I would read a page 5 times until I got it, you know. On the netball court, I still worked hard, and it brought a sense of pride or joy from within me, because I'm like, well, you know what? I'm actually struggling with this, and behind the scenes no one really knows about it, not everyone knows, and I'm still trying my best, I'm still performing well. Not that I was necessarily getting A's all the time or whatever, but I was doing well for myself. I believe that what I was doing was commendable, considering the condition that I was in, you know, and also struggling with anxiety in high school and all of that. So, you know, you choose to allow the things that we've gone through or the things that we are experiencing to dictate our lives in a negative way or in a positive way. So it's like we have the choice. Like Jesus asked, he's like, do you want to get well? Do you want to live? Do you want to have an abundant life? Or are you happy to just continue on sitting and maybe blaming your circumstances, blaming your sickness, blaming your father, your mother, everyone for your problems, and not taking responsibility for your life that you are living? You can blame everyone else, but no one else is going to live your life for you. You have to take charge of it. So I'm so passionate about that because for so long, like, I feel like the enemy plants that within us, like, no, feel sorry for yourself, just sit and cry. Granted, there is a time for grieving, there's a time for, obviously it doesn't mean that every single day is perfect, that I'm going to wake up and be so happy. Yeah, sometimes you wake up and be like, oh, I wish this circumstance was better, but it's like we don't then give up everything and then just say, no, I can't do anything now, let me just sit. No, you work through that and you encourage yourself in God, and you're like, okay, yep, I wish things could be better, but you know what, I'm going to make the most of what I have in my circumstances right now. Yeah, so that's another point. We're our biggest hindrance. So oftentimes we make excuses as it's easier than facing reality. And oftentimes the reality is we actually don't want to get better. Because you know why? Because it's easier to remain in the comfort of our misery, if that makes sense. Because it's familiar. It's familiar. I'm used to this. I'm used to being miserable. I'm used to walking this path of saying, oh, I'm sick, that's why I can't do this, or that's why I can't do this. Because it takes a step of faith to step out and say, you know what? Let me try this, even if I fail. It's scary. And oftentimes, because we're afraid of failing, because we're afraid of the unknown, we would rather remain in the comfort of our misery rather than stepping out and risking getting that freedom, you know, that so many people desire. And an example of this is the Israelites. They were delivered, they were set free from slavery in Egypt. And then when they reached the unknown, when they reached their first struggle, when they reached their first test, they were like, nah, take us back. Like, I would rather be suffering in my familiar misery than being out here and tested with all these unknown things, you know? So it's often like, it shows that often we want things to be, we are expecting, or we're waiting for things to just be perfect. So the Israelites, it's like they were thinking, okay, I'm going to be delivered from Egypt and everything's going to be perfect and fine and dandy. It's like, no, in whatever circumstance, you're going to face tests and challenges, but you have to decide what is worth facing the tests and challenges for. Am I going to face the tests and challenges in my misery, or am I going to face them as I'm striving towards freedom and hope, you know? Yeah, so, yeah, we welcome misery as we hate unfamiliarity because it causes us to feel vulnerable. When we're vulnerable, we're no longer in control, right? So we don't like that. We don't like to not be in control when we don't realize that actually being vulnerable is the best place to be as a child of God. Because vulnerability says, God, I have no idea what to do and where to go. Guide me, help me. But like, we like to have that little hold on our lives to just say, no, but I want to be able to dictate where I'm going. I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to be in an unfamiliar situation. So I'd rather be comfortable and controlled in this comfort so I can make an excuse and say, that's why I've not gone for that job. That's why I've not pursued this dream. That's why I've not pursued that, because I'm sick, because I'm discouraged, because I was discouraged by this person, because I've been bullied by this person, because this person said I couldn't do anything. What are you telling yourself? What are you saying about yourself? What does God say about you? Everyone will have something to say, whether you are in your misery or whether you're at your peak. Everyone will always have something to say, but what do you say about yourself? What does God say about you? Okay, so yeah, that's it. Taking the first step is frightening, but a step into freedom is greater than 1,000 steps taken in misery. I'll tell you, like, seriously. Seriously. Let's not be like the Invalid. Let's not make excuses and complain about, oh, life has done this to me, life is so mean, life is so cruel, life hates me, the world is horrible. Because when you think about it, that is being like internally minded. Everything's about you. It's just me. I'm the only person suffering. I'm the only person going through this. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know also what the other people have been through. The thing is, the Word of God says that when we're tested, take heart, because we know that believers around the world are going through all kinds of sufferings. And it's not to minimize our pain or to say, oh, you don't care about me, you're saying that my pain doesn't matter because everyone's suffering. No, it's giving you perspective to understand, hang on, I'm not the only person going through this. If I'm not the only one and other people around me are functioning, what is it about them? What is it that's driving them to be able to prosper and thrive through this? You know, what have they done to get out of this place that I feel like I'm stuck in? You know, it gives us perspective to understand, hang on, I'm not alone. And that's a good thing, to know that you're not alone, to know that you're not the only person, because it means you can get help. It means you can look to other people and say, okay, can you help me here? Can you help me there? Or what did that person do right? What did that person do wrong? You know, it's easy to play the victim in your story, but it's like, do you want to continue on in that victim role, or do you want to then now take charge? You know what I mean? Do you want to be the warrior of your life, or do you want to die playing the victim of your story? So many of us, we're waiting for our circumstances to change in order for us to get free, but I believe the greatest freedom is once we are broken free from our lame mindset to our invalid, disabled mindset. Like the man was invalid, so it's like sometimes it's not necessarily a physical, maybe it is physical, but we've also developed that in our mind. I'm an invalid, I'm this, I can't do this because of X, Y, Z. Contentment won't come once you're healed, I'll tell you that. Contentment won't come once you're healed. Contentment won't come once you have more money. Contentment won't come once you get a better job. Contentment won't come once you get married or when people approve of you. If you're not content right now where you are, it does not matter what changes in your life. You will remain discontent. You will find something else to complain about once you get what you think will make you happy, unless it's Jesus. For real. You'll find something to complain about, even if you're a millionaire. So I remember talking to somebody, and they were close with somebody, they knew somebody who actually won the lotto. And this person, they quit their job, I think they probably obviously paid off their house, and now they're living off their winnings. And when this person went to their house, they're like, oh wow, like how does it feel to be a millionaire? They said the person looked miserable, and they just looked at them and they were just like, it doesn't mean anything, like what is it, like this is nothing. Like, I'm not saying this is nothing as in like, oh, you know, money isn't anything, but it's just like, I'm still miserable. I thought I'd be happy once I got all this money and once I didn't have to work, but I am still the same person because my mindset has not changed. So when you think about it, the happiest people in the world are not those with everything. They're the people that are content with what they have, whether it is much or whether it is little. So they've broken free from that invalid and lame mindset. So if I'm honest, I wouldn't be where I was, and I wouldn't be able to have this mentality if it wasn't for God. I would still be trapped in that mindset of crying every day and being like, God, take this away, or why won't this go away? Why is this happening to me? I can't now talk to people normally. I can't go out now because I get overwhelmed. I can't do this, I can't do that. I would have disqualified myself from living life because I would have had maintained that lame mindset saying, because of this, I can't do this. No, who told you that? Who says that you can't do X, Y, Z? If that were the case, why, we wouldn't have the Paralympics. You know what I mean? These are things that, people have all these disabilities that I guess you could give an excuse to say, oh, I can't do this, I can't run a marathon, I can't run a 100-meter race because I don't have a leg, or because I don't have an arm, or because I struggle with this. These people are out there doing it. If that were true, if it were true that, you know, our weaknesses and our illnesses and all of these things stop us from living and doing anything, then the Paralympics would not exist. Shout out to those guys, amazing. So there are two mentalities. There's the lame man with the invalid mindset as well, and there's the Apostle Paul. I love the Apostle Paul, man. He's hardcore. He had a thorn in, I don't know if you've read it, I think it's in, I'll put the scripture somewhere, but he pretty much is discussing how he was given a thorn in his flesh to humble him from, and to enable him to cause him not to boast, you know. So it was like a tormenting thing from Satan. So we don't necessarily know what it is. I don't know. It could have been depression, could have been a physical thing, could have been whatever. But he was given something that tormented him on the daily. And he was like, what did he say? He said he begged the Lord 3 times to take it away, and each time God said, my grace is sufficient. You know, my power works best in your weakness. So from there, then he was like, all right. You know, Paul had every excuse to be like, nah, because of this thorn, God, because you've not healed me, you have not freed me from this, excuse me, I can't preach the gospel anymore. I'm not going to preach the word until you hear me. I'm not going to do this. I can't do this. I can't encourage others. Nah, I'm just going to sit here and cry because this thorn is going to stay with me. Nah, That's not what this man did. Like, this guy, he kept pressing on. He was traveling the world, spreading the gospel with this thorn. He was encouraging churches. He was writing letters, joyful, encouraging letters whilst he was in chains in prison. This guy was beaten. He was stoned. He was bitten by a snake. He had been in shipwrecks. This guy should have had, PTSD and all this stuff, but he still pressed through and he still continued to do the work of God. And again, this is not a pressure to be like, oh, you're not doing enough, you should be doing more. It's not about works, but I'm just talking about the mindset and what is possible for us if we get out of that invalid mindset. It's not to say, oh, you should be running marathons and doing this. You can do what God has graced you to do. So I'm not saying that you need to go out and be shipwrecked and everything, but it's just saying like, we can do so much more than we think we can once we break free from that invalid mindset. So how many of us in the face of adversity just use it as an excuse to give up? Oh, I've hit a test, I've hit a wall, I give up. And I've been there, and I still, have to break myself out of that sometimes. And you're like, oh my gosh, no, I've been tested with feeling depressed today. And it's like, am I going to sit there and cry the whole day, or am I going to encourage myself in God and say, nah, not today, devil. I am loved, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. The joy of the Lord is my strength, and I know that the words of the devil are lies. So whatever negative thoughts are going through my mind, thank you for telling me what I'm not. Because I know that the word of God says that the enemy is like the author of lies, and when he speaks in his native tongue, which is lies. So I don't need to listen to anything he's saying. So anything contrary to the word of God, I know it's not God, so therefore I don't need to listen to it. So we need to start doing that. We need to be encouraging ourselves in the word of God rather than playing the victim and saying, oh, woe is me, the whole world is on my shoulders, I'm going to give an example of my life. I struggled with antenatal and postpartum depression. Let me tell you what, the Lord Jesus Christ helped me. Like, he was my medication, my therapy. He used my mom and my mother-in-law, and those around me to assist me so much. But let's say when I was in the heat of it, when I would wake up, I would feel so miserable. This weight, this heavy cloud just following me every single day. This weight on my chest I could not remove. These negative and scary thoughts just continuously just running through my mind like a tape that was just on replay. I'd feel numb. I would just want to run away from my son and my husband. I was like, I love you guys, but I just want to get out. Like, I just need to run away and just disappear, So I remember in times like that, my husband, he would really try and encourage me, because he's an encourager and he's a really positive and joyful person. He will not be, if he's sad, he will be sad for about 10 seconds, then he encourages himself and then he's right back up. I'm like, that is not normal. How are you like that? But it's an encouragement to me, But in those times, because he hates it when, he doesn't like seeing people upset, especially those that he loves, he's like, we've got to break you out of this. And he'd be like, trying to pray for me. Like, no, we reject this in Jesus' name, blah, blah, blah. And I would be like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, you don't know my suffering. You don't understand what I'm going through. You would just, maybe if you felt what I was feeling, then you would know and you would be miserable with me. But then at some point I had to realize, and whereas, it could have been the case, he didn't know what I was going through, but he was trying his best to help me out of it. And it just goes to show, the invalid was like, it didn't matter, even if people were there trying to drag him to the pool, he probably would have still stayed there and said, no, someone else will probably jump ahead of me anyway, We are our own hindrance. So it wasn't him that helped me, it wasn't him that had to draw me out. He tried his best, but as long as I was remaining in that invalid mindset, I wouldn't accept the help. I wouldn't hear what he was saying. I wouldn't receive what he was saying as long as I was having that invalid mindset. So at some point I just realized I'm not going to feel better about myself or get better by sitting down and feeling sorry for myself. I'm just not. And I feel like that was a revelation from God, not in a hateful way or a condemning way, but he was just like, look, you need to get up, pick up your mat and walk, And it's not like, oh, get up and immediately I was healed in that moment. No, I was like, I need to take practical steps as well as believing in faith that I'm going to be healed. So that means I need to surround myself with encouraging people that can speak and uplift me, you know what I mean? So I can be uplifted by them rather than surrounding myself with draining people that will just discourage me, watching the news that will make me depressed, all of this stuff, I need to fill myself up right now and allow and transform this invalid mindset. So it had to come from me. There was no freedom in sitting in misery. It was a comfortable position, as it gave me an excuse. I could say I can't do anything. I can't get up now. I can't take care of my son. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't go to work. I can't achieve my dreams because I'm depressed and I'm sad and I just can't feel happy and I'm just going to sit here in my misery. No. At some point, I had to just be slapped and it was like, get get up, remember there is so much in you. Don't you say like, this is an attack on you, because the enemy doesn't want you to achieve everything that I've called you to achieve. I've called you to do great and mighty works. I've called you to reach the lost souls. You know what I mean? I've spoken this over your life, and the enemy wants you to remain here and to limit yourself. You are the one limiting yourself. Oh, it was so powerful. Anyway, so I didn't want to have that story. You know, I was like, oh, you know, I'm sad, I'm this, I'm depressed, you know, like the invalid. No one helped me into the pool, that's why I'm still lame. No one prayed for me or helped me, that's why I'm still in this situation. It's like, no. Jesus said, do you want to get well? It brings it back to us. It brings the responsibility back to us, doesn't it? So it's, you know, it's like, am I comfortable in my dirty rags? Is that why I'm still here? We have to ask ourselves, why am I still here? Why do I keep making excuses to why I cannot, you know, get out of this situation? It's almost like, am I comfortable in my dirty rags? Do I enjoy being a victim? Because it means I don't have to take responsibility for my own life. You know, I grew tired of that attitude. It didn't suit me. It was not me. So I was like, nah, I need to shake this off. This is not me. So I stopped waiting for someone to make me feel better, and instead, you know, I believe God and took practical steps towards my freedom. I went for walks. I gathered myself around uplifting people, and I still did this even when I felt like an invalid, even when I was still struggling with the depression. I still did it, and it's like I had to take that step of faith, just like the invalid would have had to take that step whilst he was still an invalid in order to step into freedom. So don't hold yourself back from your healing. Don't hold yourself back. The enemy wants us to play the victim and therefore not take responsibility for our own healing and make us think that you can't do anything, you're just stuck like this forever. Let me tell you, like, our freedom is not in the hands of others. You yourself, we pretty much are holding the keys to our own freedom, you know? We just have that choice to say, okay, Jesus, help me. And that is our access to freedom. Jesus is our freedom, you know? Seriously, freedom today can be ours today if we really wanted it. And you know what, that freedom, it might look like complete healing to someone, and it also might look like learning to walk with a thorn in your flesh to another person, you know what I mean? And to me, that's what my freedom is. It was learning to thrive with the symptoms of disassociation. It was learning to live with the symptoms of disassociation, and not waiting and sitting until I'm healed in order for me to live. So, you know, I'm always like, I pray and I believe that God will heal everyone who is suffering from any ailment, whether it's physical or spiritual or emotional or mental. And it's like, I completely believe that he heals and he restores. And it's like, but sometimes as well, we have to understand that as we walk in that faith, as we walk in that belief that he will heal me and he will restore me, that we don't have to sit as a lame person and just say, nah, okay, I just here. No, I can live whilst I'm believing for my healing. I can enjoy this life. I can thrive whilst awaiting my healing. So I hope that was an encouragement. See you in the next one. Like and subscribe, and don't forget to follow my blog, peaceinthepromise.wordpress.com. No. Peace. Even though I know it's not my place, to the God that made the heaven, earth, and space, I need you. Help me make sense of all this. I was gonna call him homeboy, but still recording. So, there's my son.